Welcome to Tax Smart Plan Giving with Stevenson University. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. A little bit about our panelists first. Chris, if you'd introduce yourself to everyone watching and listening.
Sure, happy to. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Manny. My name's Chris Vaughan. I'm the Vice President for University Advancement at Stevenson University. I've been at Stevenson now for 7 years, and I've been in fundraising at a number of different institutions for 23 years. It's a pleasure to be here, and again, thank you to Eric and Manny for the opportunity. We're going to be talking about plan giving, a number of the projects we have going on here on campus, and ways to support Stevenson.
Terrific. Manny, introduce yourself.
Sure. I'll keep this quick here. I'm an advisor here at BFG Financial Advisors. I actually work very closely with Eric. I also am an alum of Stevenson University, so I'm very happy to be here and very happy to talk about the topics that we have for you guys today.
And I'm Eric Brotman. I'm the CEO of BFG Financial Advisors here in Lutherville, Maryland, not far from Stevenson. I've been at this for 32 years and have spent a good portion of those 32 years doing philanthropy and plan giving and charitable giving for a number of organizations, especially Stevenson. And we're excited to not only bring some tax ideas and some giving ideas to everybody today, but also some ways in which we can support the university that we call Mustang home, right? Stevenson University. So without further ado, let's jump in and start talking about some of these strategies. Some of these are relatively new. Tax laws change so much. And so if there's a theme today, it's that the rules are constantly changing and that the ways to give to your favorite charity have gotten a little bit more complicated, but also more numerous and more flexible. So we'll start with QCDs or qualified charitable donations. This is part of the Secure Act Secure Act 2.0 that passed about 5 years ago, that now allows donations to be made directly from IRA accounts or qualified plans, 401ks, 403bs, etc., to charitable institutions during your lifetime. There are a couple of caveats. One, you must be 70 and a half years old. You might remember that there are required minimum distributions that apply to qualified accounts and IRAs, that the IRS essentially has said, we've given you a tax break all these years, we want our money now. And so those required minimum distributions used to begin at 70 and a half for many years. Now the current rule is 73, and that age is going up to 75 where those will begin. But the qualified charitable donations, that rule has stayed at 70 and a half. So one of the strategies Manny's going to talk about when we get to IRAs is ways to utilize the IRA to maximize the value of that, because we've spent our lives and our working careers building it. This year's limit is $108,000. So if you choose to make a qualified charitable donation from your IRA or your 401k or 403b, you can do that directly to the charity. Do not make a withdrawal to yourself and then give the charity. That's a taxable event. Now, if you're subject to required minimum distributions, the qualified charitable donation counts toward that RMD. And that's really important because RMDs tend to be a bit of an albatross for folks, because what happens is you wind up with these accounts that you built all your life, and now you're pulling out of the accounts, and sometimes it actually pushes you into a higher tax bracket, or it creates what's called an IRMA situation where you're paying more for Medicare or other things later in life. And so utilizing QCDs for charitable giving is one of the easiest and I think most powerful ways to do giving today. If you have required distributions that are greater than 108,000, this counts toward them. If you have required minimum distributions less than that, or if you don't have them at all because you're still 70 and a half to 73, you can still make distributions directly from the IRA. Talk to your custodian or your financial advisor or the firm you work with to make sure that that gets done. And one special note, this goes on your 1040 when you file your tax returns, but there is not a line for it yet. The IRS hasn't caught up to some of their own rules. And so you actually have to note that on your tax return, or you might accidentally pay income taxes on something that should be tax-free. Before we move on, just wanted to let you know that Hannah Dennis is in the background today. So if you have questions, you can put them in the chat window over on the right of your screen. She will gladly interrupt us if there's something specific to a given slide, or we'll try to make time at the end for Q&A. So thank you for doing that. Manny, let's talk a little bit about IRAs.
Sure. Eric, one of the things that you touched on was Secure Act 2.0. In a lot of ways, Secure Act 2.0 created or really innovated the space, created for a lot more opportunities as it pertains to passing on wealth, making charitable donations. But it has also, I think, given us stuff to do, Eric. It's partly kept us employed. And when I say that, I mean, when it comes to IRA beneficiary designations, Eric talked about spending your whole life building up your IRA. And the thought process was always that when you pass, you would leave your IRA either to your spouse or your children. Well, Secure Act 2.0 changed the rules surrounding how that can be left, specifically eliminating stretch IRAs when the IRA is going to anybody but your spouse. And really, it changed the rules for your spouse as well. But let's just say it's not as advantageous for anybody else besides your spouse. If a traditional IRA is left to a beneficiary other than your spouse, then they have 10 years to withdraw all of it. And when you think about it, that is one way that you are essentially distributing it, placing it back into the economy because you may be utilizing it, but also you're paying taxes on those funds. So, one of the things that Eric and I look at when we start planning for IRA distributions is how can we, one, meet the client's goals for charitable donations, while two, also preserving their wealth for future, essentially future, what am I looking for here?
Generations?
Future generations.
There you go.
Exactly. So one of the ways that you can do that is by naming a charity as the beneficiary for an IRA. Now, this allows the charity to take on the IRA, and you could utilize other methods to leave wealth behind for your heirs. But if you utilize this way, you can essentially give your dollar more bang for its buck. Okay, because when those IRAs are distributed and given to your heirs, they're likely going to pay taxes and could quickly see 50% of the value of the IRA decimated. Okay. So, one of the things that I do want you guys to consider is that Roth IRAs have different rules than traditional IRAs. Specifically, leaving Roth IRAs for your heirs is actually a good idea because, in this sense, they are inheriting something that, because you have already paid taxes on, they will not have to pay taxes on. So, Roth IRAs are different from traditional IRAs in that sense. One of the things that Eric and I look at really it feels like on a daily basis here are when is it ideal to do Roth IRA conversions? And that's moving money out of the traditional IRA box and into the Roth IRA box, paying taxes at that time, but allowing that money to sit and not be taxed again in the future. All right. Now, one of the things that you should really consider, just to kind of sum this all up here, is that leaving traditional IRA funds to heirs leaves it exposed for tax purposes. And really, this goes for HSAs and other qualified retirement plans. Leaving funds in a Roth IRA to those heirs avoids the taxes that would have to be paid on that. And leaving IRAs to charities really allows you to have a gift, a lasting gift that's really a part of your estate for some of the things that are very important to you and key to your heart.
Just to piggyback, Fanny, thank you. That's extremely thorough. The way that IRAs get left behind and the ways that heirs have to pay taxes on them isn't always terrible. Obviously, depends on the tax bracket and the size of the account. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to create bracket creep for your children or grandchildren. Because if you think about it, with life expectancies today at 80 and 85 and 90 years old, you could be leaving money to your kids who are 60, who have already reached a level of financial independence and a level of taxable income and so forth. And so every single dollar that comes out of the IRA will go to that charity if you choose. Now, what are the problems with that? Well, sometimes people want to leave money to their kids. Even though they're charitably inclined, they still want to leave money to their kids. So that brings us to the next topic, which is one of the ways to replace what's in your IRA is to utilize life insurance so that your children and grandchildren are receiving life insurance dollars that are not income taxable, and the charity receives the IRA dollars, which would be taxable to your kids, but isn't to the charity. It's a way to create wealth replacement. It's also a way in certain states, Maryland being absolutely one of them, where you can reduce some of the estate or inheritance tax burdens that you leave behind too. So for wealthy families who have a death in Maryland, both the federal and the state governments can potentially tax what you leave behind. And life insurance done right in a trust can be a very successful way to not have that apply. And it also is a permission slip to use your IRA for other things. And so, my my scenario personally is I'm going to leave my IRA to my wife if she outlives me. But if she doesn't, it's going to go to charity, including Stevenson, true story. And if that happens, then I know that some of those dollars won't get taxed. Now, there's other ways to use life insurance for charitable gifts. One, you could just name a charity as as the beneficiary of your life insurance. Well, if you're married and you and your spouse each have life insurance to protect each other, and then one of you is widowed, it might be that you have life insurance if you don't have children, or if your children are in a different situation, you might not need to leave that life insurance to a human. You might want to leave it to charity. So it's that can be very powerful. And then lastly, there are ways where you can actually make a donation of cash to your favorite charity or of stock to your favorite charity, buy life insurance on your life as the donor. You can essentially make the gifts as premiums, which makes them tax deductible, and the charity can be beneficiary. So lots of powerful ways to use life insurance during the process of considering property to give. And Chris is going to talk a little bit about some of the needs that Stevenson has. And lots of different property can be donated. You can donate cash, you can donate securities, you can donate real estate, you can donate cryptocurrency, you can donate life insurance, you can donate lots of different kinds of property. And so creating that donor's intent to make a difference at Stevenson, while at the same time trying to be tax smart and be thoughtful about their family situation, is paramount. So we'll go to one more strategy, and then we'll talk about some of the things going on campus, because it's an exciting time in Owings Mills. Donor advised funds are a new way to create. I don't know what is popping up on my screen. Is that on our screen? Do you see that, Chris?
I do see that.
I don't know what that is, but it was not helpful. All right, let's keep going.
That is here.
Donor advised funds are one way in order to what's called pool some of your giving. When Secure Act 2.0 passed, as Manny talked about, it changed some of the tax rules. One of the things it did is raise the standard deduction. So as you know, there's a Schedule A when you file your income tax returns federally. And the Schedule A says, well, here are the things that I'm itemizing: mortgage interest or state and local taxes or medical expenses or other types of things. And because the standard deduction was raised so much, most Americans, 90%, don't itemize deductions. That means charitable gifts are no longer deductible for 90% of the population unless you do some planning first. What donor advised funds allow you to do is they allow you to make a larger gift to an account that you still control. You still get the tax deduction for the gift, and you can then distribute that to your favorite charity or charities over many years. So if you're not filing a tax return with itemized deductions, instead of giving a gift, hypothetically, let's say you were giving $5,000 a year to Stevenson. If you were doing that every single year, you might not be itemizing. If you took 5 years worth, 25,000, put it in a donor advised fund, you potentially itemize that year, and Stevenson would still be able to get the 5,000 a year and so forth. So that's one way to do it. Donor advised funds are great for donating highly appreciated securities. We normally tell folks, if you're making gifts, any gift with a comma, or frankly, if you're making lots of gifts, even smaller than that, and they add up, that it's important not to just write a check and not to give cash. Now, I know Chris is going to cringe at that, but at the end of the day, if you just write a check, you're missing some tax opportunities, one of which is you can actually donate shares of stock or mutual funds or exchange traded funds or other things and avoid the capital gain that you might pay otherwise. Or you could donate from your IRA or from a donor advised fund. It means the same to Stevenson, but it can be better tax planning for you. Lots of people have asked about, well, why don't I create a personal family foundation? And I think that's lovely, so long as you're prepared to donate $5 million or more. Most of us are not in that situation, though if we are, Chris would love to talk to you immediately. But if we're not in that situation, a personal foundation is expensive and it's cumbersome, and it doesn't make sense for most families. Donor advised funds can be started with less than $1,000. You can just begin a fund and start making donations that way. So with that, let's shift gears and talk about what's going on in Owings Mills, because all of these strategies are great, but let's talk about where the money goes and where it's needed. Chris?
Sure. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Manny. So we have a number of philanthropic priorities here at Stevenson. If you're looking at the screen, annual fund is listed first. The annual fund is basically Stevenson's fund that pays for whatever the greatest need is at the time. We also are raising significant funds here for scholarships. Many of our students have financial need, and scholarship support can help them to achieve a Stevenson education and remain at Stevenson for all 4 years. One scholarship in particular that we're raising money for this year, we have for the past couple of years, is the Rollins Luetkemeyer Scholarship. It's a unique scholarship in that it provides support for middle income students who don't always qualify for government support. Um, Campus development is going really, really well. We opened up the Philip A. Zachary Library last spring, and we had a campaign for that facility, and we are still raising some funds for that. We also opened the East Campus very recently, which is the athletic hub at Stevenson. Our current capital project is the Berman Family Performing Arts Center, and we are in the midst of a campaign for that facility that is going to have a music performance stage, a black box theater, and all of the facilities that are needed in order to run a facility like that. Um, our Owings Mills North Campus is nearing completion, and we developed a new quad that tie all of the academic buildings together in that space. And also worth noting, we have a new Collard Foundation makerspace in the Manning Academic Center. I think that kind of gives a good update on what's going on here on campus.
A lot.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to this because I think that really I have a personal story that's near and dear to not only planned giving but also Stevenson specifically. I was a Stevenson alum. I like to go back quite often, and really that's because I feel number one amazing doing it, but also to a degree indebted to Stevenson for a lot of the success that I have found so far in my life. While I was at Stevenson, I was essentially the beneficiary of a pretty sizable scholarship that allowed me to not only finish my education, but also allowed me to do it without having to worry about where the next payment was going to come from or taking on, extreme loans. The process of getting the scholarship was actually quite, well, I won't say easy, but I did, have to write a couple of essays. I had a couple of interviews, but ultimately, that led me to speaking at the honors luncheon, where I actually met this guy, Eric. Meeting Eric allowed me to not only be exposed to the financial planning kind of industry, but also has allowed me to think about what's most important to me now that I am in the position to give back. And one of the things that Eric has spearheaded here at BFG is having all of the alum from Stevenson, which there's about one third a third of the office. We have started a fund here to give annually to make sure that people that kind of came out like us, came through like us, don't have to worry about some of the things that you would worry about if you didn't, receive scholarships.
So to talk a little bit about, and thank you for sharing that story. One of the things, the scholarship program, I remember when Stevenson Partners was just starting, and there were I think 4 companies, and we decided to start raising money for what's called a gap scholarship. And the reason there's a gap is that financial aid offers are level for 4 years, but as we all know, tuition isn't. And so by the time you get to your junior or senior year, that can be a gap that could prevent someone from staying in school. And the worst possible outcome here is that you spend 2 years starting your education, potentially with some student loans, and then you're unable to finish over what in the donation world, in the philanthropy world, is not a huge amount of money, but in the student world is an enormous thing. And so I think we now have over 200 Stevenson partners. Is that number right? Is it 200?
Yeah, 200, close to 275 at this point.
Holy cow. I think I remember when there were 4. So we've come a long way, but it's a way to create a perpetual giving opportunity and scholarships in your name. And, Manny and the other Stevenson alums here in the office are donors. I match it because it's important to me. And then the company also participates. Now, Chris, the annual fund is something we never want to cannibalize. The annual fund is partly in the operating budget for the school, and it helps keep tuition where it is, because in the absence of an annual fund, tuition would be higher for everyone. You want to talk a little bit about how that annual fund, how important that is to the school, and why we don't want to neglect it, even when we're talking about clear giving.
Well, as you said, the annual fund funds or helps to fund the overall university budget. So If we can raise money for scholarships, that we don't have to tap into the annual fund to fund scholarships, it helps to keep tuition low. Annual fund pays for really, as I said, anything that is of the greatest need at the time. It can help pay the electric bill. It can help pay for repairs. Really, whatever you name it, it's an unrestricted fund that allows the university to keep its operating expenses as low as possible. I also would like to touch on scholarships again to let you know that there are a variety of different ways to make a scholarship gift here at Stevenson. We have the General Scholarship Fund, which the Financial Aid Office uses to try to help students as broadly as possible afford a Stevenson education. A number of folks will elect to start a named annual scholarship, where they make a scholarship each year of $1,000 or more, and their name is attached to it. And you can work with us on how the criteria for that sort of an award. There's also endowed scholarships. Endowed scholarships will last in perpetuity. An endowed fund starts at $50,000, can go up certainly from there, but we use the income that is generated off of that endowment fund to make awards each year. And again, that once that's established, that's going for a very long time. Um, and I also mentioned the Rollins Lutemeyer Scholarship. That's a new fund that we've started in the past few years to help middle income students who don't often receive the financial support that some other students qualify.
So for people who are excited to support Stevenson, there's unrestricted giving and restricted giving. Unrestricted is an annual fund, highest best use. Some people feel strongly that they want their gift to go to academics or athletics or arts or other various things. I suspect you're not turning those down either.
No, no, no. We have donors who support basically every different area here at the university. Whatever their passion is, we have a place to work with you.
Great. And there are a couple of different societies, giving circles. There's the Nick Muller Society. I think there's the Oaks. Is it the Great Oaks or?
Great Oak Society is our planned gift donor society. The Nick Muller Society is our leadership annual giving society. We also have the 1947 Society, which recognizes consistent donors year over year.
God, I don't remember 1947. I know you think I was here, but I wasn't.
I think you have to look at your birth certificate again.
Thank you, Manny. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So, anything else you want to add, Chris, in terms of just overall what's happening on campus or where there's some need?
Sure. Well, I just want to say that if people are interested in supporting any of these opportunities, please reach out to me. I think my contact information might be on one of the slides, but in case
we will share it.
not,
We
yes.
will definitely share it. Sure.
We'll get my email address out there and my phone number. Please don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm happy to talk at any time. Just please reach out.
So let's do a little bit of a recap because we've covered an enormous amount of ground. I think, of course, these are school colors, but I think we've covered an enormous amount of ground of different ways to make gifts and different reasons why they're important to the school. And what's nice about this is every single donor is unique, and your objectives as a family or as an individual or as a company or as a foundation are all unique. And there's so many different ways to get involved. I will tell you that one of the reasons that I got involved with the scholarship program was because I was on a hard hat tour when the stadium was being built. I don't even know if you know this story, but I was on a hard hat tour and I was looking at ways to support the stadium because I thought, how in the world is Sleepy Village Julie College, which I remember as a very small, wonderful place, but a very small place that had become this university built out of the ether over the last 2 decades, amazingly, was suddenly going to have a football program. And you would say it's a decent football, I guess, because you.
I have my allegiance. I did play football at Stevenson for a couple of years.
Okay.
I've won a couple of games.
So at the end of the day, it was exciting, but it didn't feel like my passion. As much as I love going to the games, I wanted to do something that would keep kids in school. And so that's where this came from. I'm pleased to have been able to do this now for a number of years and to make a difference. I will tell folks that all of these strategies, discuss them with your financial advisor, discuss them with your spouse or your family. Donor advised funds, for example, are a great way to include your kids or even grandkids in your philanthropy, where you can create a fund and then discuss with your heirs or other family members how you'd like to donate from that fund. And it becomes a real important conversation about the reason to give back. All of these different strategies, your CPA, your financial advisor can help. We are going to share Chris's contact information. We're also going to share ours for anybody who would like to discuss that with us. We sometimes get asked, because we do a lot of these kinds of programs, we get asked, what is our affiliation at BFG with Stevenson? The short answer is, professionally, there isn't one. We have no financial relationship with Stevenson, except that we're donors and we're fans. So that is something that we felt strongly about. Manny's an alum. I've been a trustee. It's an important place to both of us. And so if anyone would like to talk about ways to support Stevenson or ways to do other philanthropy, we're happy to chat with you and to plug you in as best we can.
Absolutely.
So with that, this is Chris's information. That's where to find him. That's his email address, cvaughan@stevenson.edu. He's a resource, and he has a terrific team. They know exactly how to plug you into different areas. They're happy to take you on a tour to see. If you haven't been to campus in even 5 years, you're missing
Incredible.
an enormous renaissance. It's an amazing place. It's a special place. I look forward to being there, in fact, later today. So it's a special place. That's how to get in touch with Chris. And if you'd like to get in touch with myself or with Manny, our information is on screen. We're happy to do it. We're happy to help you help your favorite causes. And of course, we hope Stevenson's one of them. Hannah, are there any questions in the chat box? We finished up with plenty of time. So if there's some questions, we're happy to take them.
Sure, I do have a couple questions.
Good.
First one being, are there any upcoming events at Stevenson focused on philanthropy?
Yes, there are. Thank you. Our annual Day of Giving is April 24th into the 25th. It spans from noon on the 24th to noon on the 25th. Our theme is "Give to What You Love." So there are options out there on the webpage for that. There'll be a lot of emails going out to all of our constituents, letting them know where to go that day to make a gift. And certainly you can designate to any area here on campus that you're passionate in.
Is Day of Giving something where you're looking really for huge participation? You're looking for lots of people to get plugged in and get excited primarily?
Yeah, that's the idea. We're shooting for, I think it's 300 donors that day to give, and every gift counts that day. It all helps us to get what we need to do this year. So anything you can do to support us that day would be very much appreciated. April 24th, 25th.
April 24 and 25, Day of Giving. Hannah, anything else?
Yep, I do have another question. What assets should I use to set up a charitable gift, such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds? What's the smartest way to go about that?
Chris, I think that one might be for us.
I think you're right.
We're happy to take that. In general, if you're giving assets that are not qualified charitable distributions and you're giving them from non-retirement accounts, you want to try and give assets that are appreciated, where you have an unrealized capital gain baked in. So, for example, you buy XYZ stock and you buy it for $100 and now it's worth $1,000. If you were to sell that stock, you'd have to pay capital gains tax on the $900 difference. If you donate the stock in kind to Stevenson, you get the full $1,000 gift. Stevenson can sell the stock and not pay taxes as a 501c3 charity, and everybody wins except the IRS, which is always something that makes me happy. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head there.
Just so you all know, there are so many other ways to donate property. When we talk about that, it can be, there are things called split interest gifts. You can donate, there's so many different ways to do it, but you can donate your home while you live in it and still live in it the rest of your life, and then have it, when you pass, go to charity. And there's all kinds of tax benefits to doing that kind of thing. So real estate's an option. In certain cases, business interest can be an option. There are limits to what you can and can't do. But there's so many creative ways. So many of us have more bandwidth than we realize if we can reduce our tax bill and provide some philanthropy. So The short answer, Hannah, is anything appreciated. If you have a loss in your portfolio, you don't want to donate in kind. You can sell a security, take the tax loss, and then donate the proceeds. That's still fine. But in general, you want to look for things that you've owned a long time, potentially that have grown a lot. Maybe you inherited a stock 15 years ago and it's been paying you dividends, but now it's grown to a ridiculous point, and it becomes a perfect gift that you can leave the charity right away if you want to see that happen. What else?
Great. I have another one. If I'm an alumni, how can I become more involved with my alma mater?
Oh,
I could
Willing
run
to
with
take
that.
that?
we'll
Like,
let Chris go first. You go second.
Sure.
Right, sure. There are many ways to get involved here at Stevenson. Get involved with the Alumni Association. If you go to our website, there's plenty of information on how to do that. You can reach out to me, and I can connect you to the right folks to get involved with that. Come to an event. We have a lot of sporting events. Come to a game. Come to Stevenson Night at Camden Yards, which is coming up in September. Again, if you go to our website or you reach out to me, I can get you a full list of all the alumni events that are coming up. Homecoming is a great one. That's in the fall. We have a great alumni turnout at that. You'll get to reconnect with all of your former classmates. And again, come to a game. Come to a football game, come to a lacrosse game, a soccer game, track meet, baseball game. Our new East Campus, as I said before, is our athletics hub. We have 4 practice fields there. One field is lined for field hockey. It's a turf field with a track. So our track team spends a lot of time up there. Come out and check them out. We have a new baseball, softball complex up there too. So lots of ways to get involved. And we would love to have as many folks as possible back here with us.
I know you've got some other suggestions. I would like to throw in real fast that I think there should be an annual alumni football game where the alums play the current team. I would like to watch that happen. It would be like
Yeah.
carnage.
I'm not sure they
I
can keep
I
up.
think our insurance folks might feel a little concerned
I
about
think
that.
you're probably right. So what are some other ways to get involved? Plug in.
So as an alum, I kind of want to highlight on participation and not necessarily fundraising. I think one of the biggest things that you can give, one of the greatest things that you can give is time. And one of the first ways that I got involved with Stevenson after leaving campus was just going back and talking to the students. There's a mentorship program that I've been able to get involved in. There's keeping in touch with the people that you graduated with, but your professors as well. There are things that you learn in the outside world that professors can utilize for their curriculum, that they can utilize for talking to classes. And honestly, I think one of the greatest ways you can get involved with Stevenson as an alum is going back and giving your time.
And I'll throw one last in as a non-alum, but an interested party. Um, Interview on campus. Do the job fairs. Hire other Mustangs, because first of all, I've never known a university that has created graduates who are more ready to work and more enthusiastic. I've truly, and that's why that is our number one spot for when we look for candidates for any job in our office. It's the first place we go because there's grit. And I'll take grit all day long over some of the other schools are putting out right now, which I'm not going to disparage anyone, but it's not grit. So we'll go there. Hannah, anything else in the chat box? This is sort of a last call.
Yep, I've got one more question. I think it's the most important one. Where do I start if I want to give to Stevenson specifically?
Give me a call. Send me an email. Go to our website. You'll see the give link right at the top of the page if you want to make an online gift. But please send me an email or give me a call. I'm happy to help you out.
If you're local, take the tour.
Yes, please.
You won't recognize it. Whether you've been out 5 years or 10 or 15, it is unrecognizably sensational. Truly sensational. The athletic facilities, the academic facilities, the new arts facility with the Performing Arts Theater. The campus itself is in extraordinary shape. And, a lot of you alums remember days before there were dorms, before there was, on-campus housing, before there was the dining halls and some of the different things. And it's just amazing. The business school is a remarkable place. And we do hire from there quite a bit. So take the tour, take Chris up on it.
Give me a call. I'll give you
use that shoe leather, make him walk. Make them walk the campus, and if you don't want to walk, he'll take you in a golf cart or something. But make them work for
Thank you.
it. You know, of course. Anything else, Hannah? I think we're wrapped up.
Nope, that is it on my end.
Well, Chris, thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
I want to say thank you, Eric, and thank you, Manny. We're profoundly grateful for your support, your generosity, your leadership, and thank you for this opportunity.
Well, it's our pleasure, and there's not much we wouldn't do to support the school and to help you in doing the right fundraising. And if there are folks who want to talk about ways to do this, there's some creative strategies. You don't have to be an expert on this. You just have to be interested in making a difference. And between Chris and Manny and myself, we'll help you find ways that work for you where you're comfortable, and we'd be honored. So, thank you all for attending today. Let's satisfy all the lawyers. Look at that. There you go. The lawyers are satisfied. Chris, thank you for doing this with us. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure,
Eric.
and we'll be seeing you soon.
Yes, sir.
Sure.